Here's a look at the new Nitro piston technology Nitro Venom Dusk brake barrel air rifle by Crosman. So here's the picture at 3x zoom across the street about 60 meters away. So with the stock scope at 25 meters, this is the first couple hundred shots, so it hasn't been broken in yet, but this is what you can expect. It has about a grouping of 1.5 inches at 25 meters, and this was just me testing it out, so I was adjusting the windage and the elevation of the scope at 25. I went out to 50 meters, and this is what I got when I aimed right in the center. It wandered off for a bit. I think that's because the scope is of poor quality or it was breaking in. So right off the bat you can't expect very good groupings. I think you have to let it go for about 300 rounds, and then at 100 meters it was about 8-inch groups, which is not bad, but the drop was about 10 inches. So it's not effective at all out to 100 meters, but still fun to try to hit things. Its effective range is probably up to 50 meters if you can get it broken in and get the scope adjusted properly. But at 50 meters doesn't work very well with the stock scope because the stock scope is pretty poor. If I increase the zoom of it to about 5 or 6, it starts to get pretty fuzzy. Your reticle starts to unfocus and it doesn't become very usable. So like other users have said, the stock scope isn't very good, but for $200 with a scope it can shoot out to 50 meters with pretty good accuracy, and it hits some pretty good velocities. This one produces 1200 feet per second with the light pellets, and then 1000 feet per second with your average lead pellets. The main reason you get the nitro piston is because it produces less noise, has less recoil, it's easier to cock, and that improves your accuracy. It also isn't affected by cold weather, so if it's cold outside, your spring and the grease isn't gonna slow you down. You won't have that problem. You won't have a spring. You can use this in the cold weather and it makes less noise and it's smoother to pump. So as I said, it's easier to cock and it isn't affected by temperatures increasing or decreasing, and that gives you more accuracy. So let's take a look at what we've got here. Seems to be oiled, so there's no rust. It's pretty well blued. There's the weaver rail. The scope's not mounted on it, but that should be easy to do. It's well packaged, it's not damaged. As you can see, this one's made in China and it's the .77 caliber model. It's laser engraved, Nitro Venom Dusk, Nitro piston it there. So here's the scope. Comes with covers. It's convenient, helps you keep the lenses clean. It's a 3:9 zoom scope with a fixed objective lens. This scope has a pretty good eye relief, as you can see here. This is a nitrogen gas filled scope, and it comes with the Allen key for you to install that. Loctite, thread lock, just so that every time you shoot it doesn't rattle your screws loose. I like to have the rings further out, just it seems like it supports it better that way. To remove the stock, all you got to do is take out the back screw and the 2 front ones, so those 3. The trigger guard can stay in, and once you take out the back screw, you just push down on this and it'll pop right out. It comes out. So once you got the 3 screws out, all you got to do is take the back end and push it away, and it comes right off. And then you can oil this up, make sure it's all nice and clean, then just put it all back together. So once you got it back in there, just tighten it up. As you can see here, there's also a lot of riflings. There's about 12 of them, and that's one of the features that makes this gun so accurate. All the riflings, and they look pretty well made. There are 3 points that I would lubricate. You want to lubricate this angled lock on both sides. That'll make it a lot easier to crack open. And you'll want to lubricate this rail along here. The plastic slides back and forth against that, so I'm using silicone grease, so it's compatible with plastic and rubber O-rings and stuff. And I'm also going to lubricate this plastic round piece. that slides back and forth along this plastic rail. And I'm going to lubricate this plastic landing right here. This is where that round plastic piece runs up and goes against. Now that we've lubricated those 3 points, you can put it back together. You've got to push the pellet in quite deep, otherwise it won't be very accurate. So it's low and to the right. So if it's shooting low and to the right, these points mean impact points. So if you want to bring it up and to the left, you gotta rotate this like this to bring it up, and then rotate this one to bring it to the left. These are points of impact. It's not where you look. It's the opposite of that. I'm going to take my Simmons 4 to 12 times Pro Sport scope and mount that on there, because this is a pretty good scope. It cost me $100 on sale. So I'm going to throw that on there and see if it makes it better at about 50 meters. See how accurate we can get it at 50 meters. So overall, this is a pretty good gun. It's very accurate, nice rifled barrel. Its scope is not the best, but given the effective range of .177 pellets, this scope is just fine because you can see up to 50 yards easy with it. I just want to push it to see how accurate I can get it, so that's why I'm putting the extra scope on there. But if you're just using it for plinking and pest control, up to around 40 meters, this will do just fine. And it's very accurate up to that range, because you don't need to have the optical zoom. Also, if you need a good pistol, here's the Daisy Powerline 008. It's a rifle barrel and it's a pretty good little pistol. It's pretty accurate and it's got a lot of power. It's 495 feet per second, I believe. There are 8-shot magazines. Pop that right in there. It's magnetic. Let's test it out. Alright, although the CO2 pistol might not be the strongest or the fastest, it's fun because you can wrap semi-automatic